Hi, everybody. It's Hannah. It's Pisces Hannah. It's Johanna. It's me. I'm back. I'm here for my second YouTube live through Resonant Essentials through Orbital Astrology, and I had some more technical difficulties, so I apologize. I was like throwing on makeup right before this, so I didn't get to like see how I look. Anyway, um, I'm super excited to be here. If you are here live, just type in the chat and say hi. Um, it is, let's see, 3 o'clock, 3:02 on Sunday, the 8th of May, 2022. So we are live. We are currently waiting for some people to hop on. And let me check the planetary hour to see what we've got going on currently in the sky. And let me see if I can make sure I can see all the chat. May 20. All right, planetary hour. We are in the sun hour, which is nice because it's Sunday, right? So it's kind of why I chose Sundays to do my live stream, because the day of the sun is Sunday, and then having it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon is the hour of the sun. So like to sort of shine that light out there and radiate any sort of good feelings and guidance and positivity towards you all this week as we head into another week of the astrology. So, first of all, I wanted to just say happy Mother's Day to all the moms here. So, Michelle, if you're here, happy Mother's Day. I think Amber was going to hop on. So, happy Mother's Day to you. And for everyone else out there, happy Mother's Day to you in whatever form you celebrate it. Also, I'm going to turn off notifications real quick here so I don't get distracted. Yeah, so also for the people who do not have a traditional type of Mother's Day, I know that sometimes Mother's Day can be very triggering for people who do not have, a relationship with their parent or their mother, or who have, depending on how you grew up and what situations you were in, is not necessarily something that you look forward to, or have um, a traditional relationship with. So, happy Mother's Day to all the people who are dealing with it in some other form, because we want to make sure that we see you and recognize you as well, for the people who are mothers who have lost children, or mothers who have um, lost mothers in some aspect. So it's just a day to think about our relationship with the concept of motherhood. And if you are a mother, or play some sort of mother role in your life, then this is going to be interesting for you, just because we're talking about the moon, and moon represents motherhood and all those ideas around what it means to be nurtured and means to be oh, hey. Hi, Jonathan. Hi, nice to see you. So thank you for happy Mother's Day wishes to me. So I am a mother. I have two kids. They are a Jupiter cycle apart. So what does that mean? If you are not familiar with the astrological cycles, it takes Jupiter 12 years to make an entire cycle around the zodiac. So it's in one sign for give or take 1 year every single year. So that means my two kids, my two daughters, are 12 years apart. So it's astrology showed up in my life in a very literal way in that aspect. So Jupiter is very prominent in my chart. So it was definitely part of my motherhood story. Also, we are looking at the moon in Leo today. So when we look at the moon cycles, the moon is the fastest moving thing in your chart and in everybody's chart, in the world's chart. Every single week we're looking at the transits, and we'll always be looking at the moon primarily just because it's going to be the thing that changes the most. So when you lay out your week, you can look and see when the moon is going to be transiting, what sign it's going to be in. And then you can look at your own chart, so you can see where in your chart that moon is going to be moving through what sign. So today we have the moon in Leo. It is going to be moving into Virgo tomorrow. So we only have this Leo energy for another 24 hours or so. Well, probably less. I think it moves in, yeah, it's 24 hours-ish, tomorrow night at 4:53 p.m. So yeah, what does the moon in Leo mean? And for me personally, the moon going through Leo means it's going through my fourth house. So wherever Leo is in your chart, if you want to put that in the chat, go right ahead. And that's where this energy of Mother's Day is showing up for you, because that moon is sort of highlighting and bringing up issues for you in that area of your life. Now, the moon transits may not always be very dramatic, because it's so quickly. Sometimes we don't even notice when the moon is in a specific sign. So if that's the case, no worries, because there's plenty of other stuff going on in astrology to really look at. And this upcoming week is going to have some big things happening. So we'll be talking about that in a little bit. But really, I wanted to sort of kick off this Mother's Day broadcast with a tribute to all the moms, um, and of course your own personal relationship, whatever it may look like, and how you deal with that. And that is really represented in your moon sign. So when you look at your moon sign, you can see all of these aspects about motherhood. We think about what does motherhood mean? What do we think about when we think about mothers? And of course, everyone's going to have a different idea, but the traditional or the archetypal ideas about what motherhood is. We think about mothers being nurturing. We think about them offering us comfort. So the moon represents those two aspects in your chart. So you look at that, and whatever sign you have your moon sign in, it'll tell you how you respond to those things. The moon also represents our emotions, and our emotions are very complex, right? Because it starts off with a sensory feeling first. We have a feeling that we sort of grasp through our sight, our hearing, our taste, our all of our five senses. Were sort of that's our initial receptors to what we experience and what we sense. When we have those sensations going through our body, we start feeling a reaction to it, or some sort of emotional chemical response in our body. And then that eventually moves into the higher brain where we start figuring out what that sensation means and what that feeling is um, is showing up. Hi, Jen. Thanks. Happy Mother's Day. Thank you. Um, so yeah, when we look at the moon in our chart, we really are looking at how we react emotionally, how we are processing all of the sensory things in our life. And of course, that will help you understand more about your own personality and your own reactions, and how you are working with the people in your life. So, even though this is kind of going to be talking about how you can use your moon sign to be a better mother or better parent, or um, you can use it in all different aspects of your life. Any sort of relationship you're having, or any sort of it's really how you interact with the world. That's what the moon sign really tells you about, because the moon is about our physical embodiment um, here in the world. So we have a comment here. Moon in Leo. Time for some drama. Well, yes. I mean, we think about the traditional, or the, I don't know, the stereotypical ideas about what Leo means, and we think about, well, if you have the moon in Leo, or if you are a parent with the moon in Leo, then what are you going to be? How are you going to be responding to your child, or how are you going to be interacting with them, or how are you going to be reacting to the things that they do? So we think about Leo as being like a creative force in life, and I know, yes, the dramatic aspect can show up as well, but that's really because there's a lot of joy involved with Leo, as far as like what they're seeing. They're like absorbing all of this stuff all the time, wanting to um, create with it. They want to, and most of that stuff is coming from the heart, which is where the source of our creativity comes from. Um, it's that desire to really see and feel and touch and create and share that with the rest of the world. So that's kind of, it can be a little much sometimes, when people aren't used to that extrovertedness of the Leo dramatic and creative energy. So, mothers who have Leo moons can sometimes be a little overwhelming for their kids, but it's also an incredibly uh, supportive way for their kid to develop creatively, and to make sure that their kid is showing what's true to them and what's in their heart. So, um, we think about, so how does this work? Like, we look at the moon sign and we can see all the strengths, right? The positive aspects, whichever sign you have your moon in. And if you don't know what your moon sign is, definitely message me or comment below, and I can help you find that out in your chart. Um, but it also is going to tell you maybe some of the negative aspects, or some things you might need to look at or work with in a different way, right? Astrology is a wonderful tool for us because we can understand more about ourselves and how we interact with the world. But I always want to take it one step further and see what we can do to actively work with our strengths and our weaknesses, because a lot of times astrology gets to that point where we say, oh, I'm a moon and blah blah blah, therefore I can act this way and it gives me license to do that, or I can be victimized in some way because I have this moon in this sign. And I don't want to use astrology to make people feel victimized or to make them make excuses for the behavior, because it doesn't matter where your moon sign is. You can always look at what you can work with to make that more positive or to make it more functional. So you can learn how to interact with other people, learn how to, interact with yourself and not react in specific ways that are more negative. Just as an example, I have the moon in Aries, and so moon in Aries is one of the most reactive signs out there. So when I think about my mothering ability to my two kids, I'm like that mom. I have a 3-year old, right? So my older daughter is almost 16, so you can see the difference, the age difference there. But my youngest daughter is 3, and yesterday she managed to break open one of those liquid timers, that like kind of like liquid sundials or liquid not liquid sandals. How the liquid timers that you can flip over and then you can see the bubbles coming down. She really loves those. So she was chewing on it and managed to bust it open somehow. So I see like neon pink oil coming out of it, because basically that's what it is. And it's non-toxic, so don't worry. But when I saw this happen, I saw like pink oil just being like running down her entire body, like staining her clothes and my couch. And I was like, ah, I freaked out. That was the Aries reactiveness in me. So what I can tell is that I need to work on that reactiveness as far as being an Aries moon, because, some other moons, maybe a Taurus moon, would not be as reactive in that way. They would be like, oh, here's the problem. We need to fix it. All right, let's, move on to the next thing. But you can really see how your own emotions and your own reactiveness or your own experience of the world can reflect on everything you do, and that includes your parenting or your relationships or your anything really that you're interacting with the world on. So that's just kind of a little quick thing I wanted to talk about, just because it's Mother's Day. Is because the more awareness you have about your own astrology, your own chart, all of your planets, especially the moon sign. Uh-oh, someone's saying they can't see. I had to go back and like repost the link and all of the different things, all of the different groups, because I had a totally different. I had some technical issues, so I apologize if you did not get the right link. I reposted in all of the Facebook groups, so you should be able to access this currently. So I just sent that to somebody. Anyway, let's get into the weekly forecast, just because it's already 13 minutes into the stream. And while I am very excited to celebrate Mother's Day, I'm more excited, honestly, to look at the astrology of next week. So what is happening? The two big things that are going on. Oh, okay, cool. Yay, someone can see it. The two main things that are happening this week is, last week we had something similar going on, which was Venus moved into Aries. And I mentioned that, the shift between Pisces and Aries is the most dramatic one in the zodiac. It's the starkest contrast between mutable and cardinal, water and fire. And it's very, it's also passive, aggressive, feminine, masculine. All of the different polarities are being switched. And it's also the last sign of the zodiac, and Aries is the first sign. So when Venus moved into Aries last week, we saw a huge shift. Something huge happened last week. And Venus does rule women. And I don't know if I mentioned that. I have to go back and watch the video. But we saw this shift from this Pisces energy of like this sort of sweet and loving and relaxed and kind of dreamy energy into the Aries warrior goddess energy. And we definitely saw that this week, right? With the news about Roe v. Wade and the leak of the documents. And women were pissed, right? Women were mad. So, I mean, everyone was mad. But yeah, for the most part, this is a female issue or a woman's issue. And then we saw that immediate shift when Venus went into Aries last week. So on a similar note, we're having another planet move into Aries this week, and it's a big one, right? We just talked about it a little bit. The planet Jupiter is moving into Aries this week, and it's happening on Tuesday the 10th. So that's a big deal, right? Because, like I said, Jupiter goes through, it takes one whole year to get through a sign. And of course, between retrogrades, there may be some overlap between, it's not an exact year, it's usually breaking up part of the year. So for most of this year, we've had Jupiter in Pisces, and now we have basically the entire rest of the year with Jupiter in Aries. It does retrograde back into Pisces at the very end of the year, but um, this is a big deal, right? We have been dealing with experiencing what Jupiter in Pisces is for the past few months, and it felt very, like I said, subtle, relaxed. All of the benefits of Jupiter were kind of weren't so in your face. They were much more like ethereal and dreamy, and a lot of people were like getting in touch with spirituality, and I saw a lot of artistry and music, and I had my own personal story about Jupiter and Pisces, but we will see if that continues to happen this week as it moves into Aries. So, if we think about maybe the two stories being connected, where Venus in Aries is connected to Jupiter in Aries, there may be some sort of connection this week with the furthering of this story that broke last week. If Venus rules women, then Jupiter rules um, it rules judges. It also rules the clergy. It rules religious institutions. But it also rules like gurus and spiritual leaders and stuff like that. Any sort of authority figure in those areas, Jupiter is associated with that. So since we are dealing with an issue that involves the courts, I wonder if there may be something this week with, either the judges responding or something going on in that aspect. So we'll see what Jupiter brings when it comes into Aries. But I'm thinking that the contrast between Pisces and Aries is going to be very obvious. We'll definitely see some sort of big news this week as Jupiter moves into Aries. And the thing is, what's happening on the very same day, which is Tuesday the 10th, is that Mercury is going retrograde. So it's not like it's just one thing that day. It's a culmination of two different things. Now, Mercury is currently in Gemini, so might be a very archetypally Mercury retrograde, like what everyone thinks of the stereotypical Mercury retrograde, as far as communication, technology, emails, all of those things. Yeah, so we'll see. The thing about Jupiter, if I want to switch back, I saw a comment, I hope they show their true colors. Yeah, well, the thing about Jupiter is it's also associated with the search for higher truth and higher meaning. So it is a benefic planet, just the way Venus is. However, that shift from Pisces, which is like where Jupiter prefers to be, it's very much associated with Pisces, into this Aries, completely opposite energy. It's kind of like, like lounging at the pool in the water for all day long, and you've just enjoyed yourself. You've had a cocktail or whatever, and then you get out of the pool and you realize that you have this blaring, searing, painful sunburn for being outside just enjoying yourself so much. Like, it's kind of like that shift. This Aries is a fire sign, so that's another thing we want to really be careful as we move into the summer, because we're going to have 3 planets in Aries. Mars is going to join them at the end of the month, so it's going to be like a lot of Aries energy, which is a fire sign. So of course, all of us who live in New Mexico, we are dealing with fires, and it's not even summer yet. So that's definitely a concern that everyone should be aware of. Anything moving into a fire sign, especially something like Jupiter, which is a big planet. So Jupiter also represents expansion. So everything that it touches, it gets bigger. So that is something that we want to be careful of and be wary of. So even though Jupiter is considered to be a good planet, so hopefully we'll see the good aspect of Jupiter coming into Aries. Whatever sign Jupiter is in, it's going to try its best to bring gifts or bring benefits or bring something useful. And I mean, Jupiter's like Santa Claus in your chart. He really wants to bring joy, but can he do it in the way he wants to? depending on what sign he's in. So Jupiter in Aries is going to be much more, at least up front in your face, a little bit more and quicker. The thing about Aries is it's a lot faster type energy. So Pisces is very slow, very relaxed. Aries is like the crazy 3-year-old running around and blowing things up all over your couch. So that's kind of like the shift what we're dealing with. So it's going to be exciting if you guys have been like, oh my gosh, I really need motivation. I need a kickstart. I need to get going. And okay, you're going to get it. Like we're starting to move into this big burst of Aries energy coming up. So with the Mercury retrograde on top of all of that, obviously emotions are going to be a little bit higher. Things are going to be moving faster. But of course, you need to double check everything. I mean, you may want to send that email out like immediately. Like you may have an idea and then you go to your email, you go to your computer, you type it out real fast, or you like get on your phone and you're like texting with somebody really fast. And then you realize, oh my gosh, I sent it to my mom instead of my boyfriend or something. So make sure you double check what you're doing. I mean, that's the type of Mercury retrograde energy we're dealing with because we are in Mercury sign of Gemini. So that's not, an expression of Mercury that is more associated with, like earth energy where the physical, tangible, money related things are going to be going haywire. It's all going to be that air related energy of Gemini. So Gemini is a dualistic sign. So Geminis always have to do things twice. So just prepare for that. Having to do things over again during Mercury retrograde does not mean that it's going to be the end of the world, but just be aware of that coming up. So Mercury retrograde is only for 3 weeks. It's the shortest retrograde out of all of them. So just keep that in mind. You don't have to. It's just a cycle. It's just a phase, and that as long as we're aware of it, we can handle it better. At least that's my opinion. I mean, there are some astrologers who are like, just just give up and just say I don't have control over anything and accept your fate. I really think that there is a balance between deciding what you can do with the energy and how you can use it the most effectively. So those are really the two biggest things that are happening this week. There is some more activation of this eclipse energy, right? Because last week we talked about the eclipse. The new moon in Taurus was last Saturday. So we are in the tunnel, right? We're in the eclipse portal between the new moon and the full moon, or the solar eclipse and the lunar eclipse that's going to be coming up next week. So next Sunday, when I do my forecast, I will talk to you about what it's going to be like when the full moon comes up, and what's the culmination, or what is the bookend of that eclipse that we had at the very end of April. So the things that are going on this week is Mars is making a sextile to the North Node in Taurus, which happens on Friday the 13th, right? Oh, right. Everyone's like, oh, Mercury retrograde, and then Friday the 13th. So calm down. It's all right. We will be fine. We just need to be aware of things happening. Friday the 13th is going to have that eclipse activation energy because of Mars sextiling the North Node, which is where the eclipse happened, or it was close to the eclipse. We also have I apologize. That's the 14th, not the 13th. The 13th is the sun's conjunction. So we're really coming to the end of Taurus season. I mean, by Friday the 13th, the sun is going to be at 22 degrees Taurus. So there's only 30 degrees in every sign. So that means that we are kind of coming to the end of Taurus season. I mean, Gemini season's right around the corner. So just enjoy that last bit of Taurus sun energy. And Friday the 13th is usually a great day. 12 signs. Nice. Yeah, so there is a good, if you think about the number 13, it is not necessarily a bad number. I'm not a numerologist, so check out Brother Francis for that in his videos. Because, for some reason, 13 became synonymous with bad things, but wasn't always like that. So, 13th, Friday the 13th is the sun conjunction to the North Node. The 14th is a Mars sextile to the North Node. So we are really going to get kind of a reminder. We're going to get a ping, a spotlight on the North Node in Taurus. And what is the lesson we are learning from these eclipses? So whatever happened on that new moon on April 30th, where the eclipse was happening, It may not have happened on the exact day, but you can kind of feel the energy between that date and now. Whatever story has been building for you, you're going to get a ping, or you're going to get another revelation, or another insight into what this story is really, really working for you. So, um, oh, okay. Almost 100 years ago. Wow, it is pretty crazy to think that it's been 100 years since the big stock market crash of the 1920s. So, okay, I'm going to sneeze. um, Sorry. Okay. So we are going to get that second sort of chapter of the story of the eclipse, whatever you have been working on, or whatever's been coming to you, whatever story has been showing up. Mars, even though we sort of talked about it as being kind of a pain in the butt. Thank you. I just sneezed during my live stream. Yay. um, I don't know. My mentor Ann Ortley says if you sneeze after saying something, that means it's true. So maybe we'll see, right? um, let's see. Like I said, Mars is kind of like that scary, angry planet, right? But it can also be a real motivator. So you may get a ping as to what to do with all of that eclipse energy, or all of that eclipse story that's happening, or has been sort of building up, right? We're really building up to the intensity of that second eclipse that's coming up. And this one will be in Scorpio. So yeah, the moon goes into Scorpio on Saturday, the 14th as well. So we're going to start feeling that, yeah, it's coming. That eclipse is coming. We'll talk about it next week. Right now, I think we are still at the first quarter moon. So we have another week before it moves into full mode. But other than that, not much going on. So you can breathe a sigh of relief. Pluto went retrograde last week, so we're starting to feel our evolution, our reviewing all of the transformation we've been going through, like I said last week. So that's in motion. But when Pluto's retrograde, it's kind of in the background. Once in a while, you'll get like a big trigger, but since Pluto is such a slow-moving planet, it's always kind of in that backdrop of the entire world, of all of our lives, all of the human race's evolution. That's really the Pluto energy that's going on. So yeah, that's really the big things that are going on this week. So just prepare yourself. All those Geminis, even the Virgos, because Virgo is also a Mercury ruled sign. If you are having a Mercury profection year, if your Time Lord is Mercury this year, of course you're going to be much more affected. If you don't know what Time Lords are, or annual perfections are, yeah, message me, or post a comment in the Resonant Essentials group, and I can talk to you about that. It's a pretty cool methodology to look at, to see what planet's really going to be focusing your life for one entire year. So yeah, anyone in a Mercury perfection year, anyone who's a Gemini, Virgo, you're going to definitely be in the forefront of this retrograde. And we'll talk about some of the stuff that will be activated during that as it moves in the next 3 weeks. But let's see. Next Sunday is kind of a big day. There's a lot of stuff going on. Looks like I will talk about it next week. Next week, though. All right, it's already 28 minutes in, so if anyone has any questions, you guys can definitely put that in the chat. If you guys are all done, I will sign off and get to go relax for Mother's Day, which is very nice to. I've been feeling really lazy today, so yeah. I mean, my moon is like I said, when the moon is in Leo, it's going through my fourth house, which is the house of parents and home and your roots. So yeah, I've just been kind of wanting to chill all day at home and not have to do anything, and let other people do things for me, which is kind of a Leo thing. So anyway, looks like there's no questions. So thank you all. Thank you for coming, and I will be back next week. And hopefully next week I will have it figured out where I can be better prepared when I get on here. So I hope you all have a wonderful week. Just stay aware, right? Stay aware of the astrological energy, and you can always use your own awareness to pull things into your orbit to create the life that you want. So that is my orbital astrology report. So I will see you next week. And yeah, enjoy. Bye.